I've had it. This week, we're taking down the gods. Alright, Drew, this week we're checking out Gods Will Fall on Xbox. This is a pretty cool game. This is definitely kind of an interesting style of game. It's an isometric camera angle, and we are fighting back against the gods. So basically, the way the kind of story starts out here is that the gods rule over humans. And over time, the gods have asked for favors from these humans. And kind of as time has gone on, these favors have started to be getting, more and more and more, to the point where the humans basically can't take it anymore, and the gods just go wild. And the remaining humans that are left, the clan of 8, are fighting back, and they're trying their hardest. And let me tell you, this game is definitely not easy. This one was tough. What did you think, Drew, jumping into it?
Yeah, dude, honestly, I've had a rough week. I've been nailed with all kinds this week for this style of game. It's punishing, right? It's got that Dark Souls-esque feel where it's just a grind when you're going out there, because it's basically what you do is you traverse the overall map in hunt of a god. You find the god's lair, you go in that lair, and that's when you discover how difficult that particular lair is. And as your tribe rolls up to the front of it, you only send one of your tribe members in at a time. And each of them have different stats and different perks and things like that to work off of. And some of them even have relationships too, which I thought was really cool. So what happened was I go in, and the more minions you can take out before you hit the final boss, the weaker the boss becomes. And then you stand a better chance of beating the boss. You don't beat anybody and you fight that boss, you're in trouble. But
yeah,
overall, dude, inside the dungeon, these dungeon crawlers are tough, man. It is. I had some levels where there were 30 other minions. I had some where there were 60, and I had some where there's something like around 80. I was like, it's all over the place. It's never the same, which I really adore and appreciate, that it's never the same thing, right? Because how many times do you go back, okay, well, here it comes, so I just got to do this, 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 and then I'm over here. Not this case. This case, it's like, oh, you don't know what you're getting into. So I get into the world, I lose one of my people. One of my tribe members gets what they call captured. You don't die, you just get captured. And then then it opens up to the front of the cave or the dungeon, and the doors open and nobody comes out because my dude got captured. Then the rest of my tribe mate, they're all upset, and some are complaining because they have, relationship built with them. And dude, it was a cool game, but it's so tough, Corey. What about you?
You know what? There is a lot of interesting mechanics at play here. The overall control scheme I thought was fairly simple. I like the fact that you could remap your controls. I didn't actually know that for my kind of first initial playthrough. So the controls I thought were a little bit kind of odd. I don't love having, just using the buttons. I guess it's kind of an old school way of using the controller. But again, it's just it's a little more foreign feeling now than it used to be. But the fact that I could kind of customize the controls myself made my next playthrough a little bit nicer. But what I really liked here is that every character has, like you said, has its own stats and abilities, but they also have kind of their own special kind of weapon abilities as far as which weapons they can carry, which ones they can't carry, and they're all a little bit different. So every time you go into one of these dungeons with a character, and if you haven't necessarily used that character yet, depending on the weapon they have, it's a different play style all the way through, because timing is everything here. We're trying to parry, we're trying to dodge, we're trying to get the attacks off before they can hit us, because we don't have a whole lot of life here. It's not necessarily easy. You start taking hits and multiple hits. If there's a couple guys on screen at the same time, things start to kind of get away from you quickly here. It's not even just the enemies in the dungeons. I found when you're traversing these dungeons, which look amazing, by the way, I think the environments, they're all kind of a different environment. One was very rocky and kind of, more like in the mountain range, and then I did one that was more like a jungle, and I heard you were saying you did one that was like underwater. So
cool.
They're all kind of, you know, they all have their own themes, I guess you want to say. And that's really what I liked about this, is that kind of every step of the way here, there's kind of this, you know, customization element that you don't necessarily see right from the get-go. Because when you get out of the dungeons, if you beat them, you also bring weapons that you find, and you can, you know, dole those out among the party, because some, you know, weapons, certain you can upgrade from, you know, they have like a 1, 2, 3 kind of star rating. So it's kind of nice to be able to, you know, upgrade as you go, because as these dungeons get more and more difficult, need that extra power to take down some of these larger enemies.
No, absolutely. I thought the enemies were cool. One of the parts, as you're beating the enemies and your health depletes, you also build this, what they call the
bloodlust.
That's it, the bloodlust. It's like a meter, basically. And the more you're able to build that meter by knocking out or taking out more enemies, you're then able to regenerate your health. So it kind of helps you keep your life a little bit longer in some of these levels than you maybe not apt to in the very beginning, because the more you just get beat down, the more you just get beat down. And so it was nice to have this kind of a risk reward in a sense, Corey. You know what I mean? That you're able to battle it out, and then sometimes if you're able to pull it off, then regenerate your health. So it's not like just this regular regeneration over time. It's you need to actually achieve something in order to build that back. I thought it was very cool. One of the things I wished was implemented was a map. I know it's, you know, it's regenerated every time. It's all new kind of thing, but at the same time, a map of where I've been, because some of these worlds you just get lost looking for the boss, and then other times I ran into the boss by accident because I really was just hunting other minions before I went to the boss. So, you know, you kind of keep going, you traverse, and you just stumble across the boss, and then I just got labeled, and I lost my character, and they're captured. So, holy crap, it's definitely punishing. But like you said, each world is so different. I think that was one of the coolest parts, man.
Yeah, and just to kind of finish it all off here, what I really enjoyed was, even though you lose characters from time to time, I did find it, obviously, when you lose one in a dungeon, you can leave and go to another dungeon and try fighting there. Not necessarily, you know, because maybe the one you were in was too difficult, but the thing is you want to get that character back if you can. So I had the unfortunate case of really trying to get my characters back, and I lost all 8 of my party members. And this game does nothing for you other than slap a big game over on the screen, and it's time to jump in and try it all over again. And then again, like we talked about earlier, everything's different every time you jump in. But yes, a map inside the dungeon would be nice. I guess that kind of plays into the overall kind of difficult aesthetic of this game, having one outside of just having the main overworld map. But, Drew, I don't know. I think we got beat down pretty bad in this one, but I think we both had a pretty good time. If you had to give this one a score out of 10, what are you going to give it?
Yeah, you know what? I had a good time. It's not an overall expensive game either. You're somewhere in around the $30 to $35 range, which is kind of unique, right? You're normally typically 40, 60, or 20 bucks. So it's kind of hit that happy medium, I think. And I think it's priced at the right price point as well. After you do one dungeon, honestly, the next dungeon is very similar. Though it looks different, it's still the same mechanics you're going in and for, right? And that kind of stuff. So it may get repetitive for some. It did for me in the grand scheme of things overall. But really had a great time. I'm there with the 7.5.
You know what? I'm just a little bit higher than you on this one. I had a blast playing this game. Yes, it's super difficult and it's definitely frustrating. But I do like the fact that every character kind of has its own special abilities, and the fact that you use different weapons, which makes you change up your play style mid-game, is kind of the tricky element that I seem to be really enjoying here. So you know what? For me, I got to give this one an 8.
Nice.
Challenging combat surrounded by a variety of environments really mixes up the gameplay here. And if you can master the controls, you may have the gods bowing down to you.